A trusted partner for drivers across the country. Whether it's giving your car a fresh coat of paint or fixing up those everyday dents and dings, Maaco is here to keep your car looking its best. Get started, visit your local Maaco today, get a free estimate, and see how easy it is to bring new life to your ride. A little TLC. Better get Maaco.
The quest to regain the division crown starts now. So be here for every huge moment of the Braves 2025 season.
Swung on, lifted towards center field. That might get down. Diving catch and caught by Michael Harris.
Tonight, the Braves are back on the road, this time for an interleague battle with the Tampa Bay Rays, live from Steinbrenner Field in Tampa.
Braves coverage coming up at 6 tonight on ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Wednesday. For this afternoon and evening, sunshine and a high of 75 with a light breeze around 6 miles per hour coming out of the west. Tonight, clear skies with lows around 60. Tomorrow, sunny with a light breeze and a temperature near 77. Moving into Friday, about the same with a high of 78 and sunny. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
Known for its crispy chicken tenders, flavorful wings, and generous portions, Lickin' Chicken has become a local favorite. Lickin' Chicken's commitment to quality and bold flavors keeps customers coming back for more. One satisfied patron shared on Facebook.
First time at Lickin' Chicken, and I'll return often. Man, them lemon pepper and garlic parm wings were amazing. My daughter and I devoured them. They don't short you on the fries either.
Lickin' Chicken, 1320 North Tyndall Parkway.
Discover Kia at Bill Bird Kia. The road is yours. Let spring adventures begin in a brand new Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Stop by today and check out the 2025 SUV family. Take a test drive and see the all-new features that elevate any adventure. And now offering 1.9% APR for up to 60 months on the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sportage. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at Bill Bird Kia, PanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust at Bill Bird Kia.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sportage. $1,748 per month per 1,000 finance in 60 months. Quality is limited. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. Not available on balloon financing. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 4/30/25.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now to learn more.
800-605-4650. 800-605-4650. 800-605-4650. That's 800-605-4650.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
And that's out of the ballpark.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Now, Inside Drive. Live and local from the Gulf Plus studios. It's the next evolution of Sports Talk Radio. The biggest stories and the biggest reactions.
Now.
And now, we're taking...
With the first pick. the last ball you got to bet?
The Inside Drive. From college to the pros, interviews with the newsmakers, sports betting, your phone calls, and more. And now, The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And good Wednesday morning. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. 104.3 in Panama City Beach, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. You can watch, like, listen, comment, subscribe, share, follow, all those wonderful social media adverbs, adjectives, verbs, whatever it is. I'm not an English major. I just like to talk sports every once in a while. So we appreciate you if you follow us on our social channels there. We are up and running live and streaming. We got the Coach James Hale Show streaming live every day from 7 to 9 a.m. And, of course, you're listening to the Inside Drive right now from 11 to 1 o'clock, Monday through Friday. And, of course, the afternoon underdogs from 4 to 6 p.m. 3 great local shows on really the only one you should be listening to across the Florida Panhandle. So we appreciate all our listeners out there. And don't forget, if you text in this morning during the Coach James Hale Show at 7:15 or 8:15 and you send us the code word of the day and your racing name, make sure you're listening right about 12:40 here on the Inside Drive and at 5:40 on the afternoon underdogs. If you hear your racing name, how quickly you give us a call back is your qualifying time. 2 fastest qualifying times win the race to Talladega and 2 tickets to the Jack Links 500 on April 27th, plus tickets to the Arca Menard Series General Tire 200 and the NASCAR Xfinity Series Ag Pro 300. That's a doubleheader on Saturday, April 26th. So lots of racing if you go on and win this thing. Contest runs between now and Friday will be the last day to instantly qualify for some cool station stash from Pepsi's, Tommy Express, and ESPN Northwest Florida. We appreciate PCB Hobby, Panama City Toyota, Buffalo Rock, Hampton Inn on Thomas Drive, and Home 2 Suites for sponsoring the race to Talladega. The fastest qualifying time, basically the winner of the contest, will also receive a pair of tickets to the incredible Talladega Garage Experience. So don't miss out on your opportunity. And if you text in during the Coach James Hale Show, you're missing an opportunity. The last 2 days, I think, we haven't had our call back in. So we started off strong last week with Jackson State Jeff. And, of course, I know you had a qualifying time a couple days ago that was pretty good as well. But
Madman Paul Ritchie.
There you go. But still time to get in there if you want to go have a little bucket list experience up there at the Talladega Super Speedway. Driven by it many a time, but have never had the opportunity to stop. So maybe one day that'll be in our future. But again, we appreciate you tuning in. If you want to save some money on your streaming services, head over to ESPNPC.com. That is Scorpion TV. Over 2,000 channels on demand. Of course, all the pay-per-view events, all the ones you have to pay extra for on the streaming service that you're already paying more money than you are now. So head over there to ESPN.com. You'll see Scorpion TV right at the top of the page. Follow the prompt. It'll shoot you an email, and then you get it downloaded on your smart TV or device, whatever you're looking to watch it on, and boom, there you go. You are saving money. And, of course, over 10,000 movies on demand. I know David Hayes put out if you could watch all 10,000 of those movies yesterday. I forget what you get. Maybe
Tommy's Express Car Wash.
Ah, there you go. There you go.
Hopefully it's still current and not expired by the time that you get around to watching all 10,000 movies.
On or above. I mean, it could be more, it could be less. So about 10,000. So, all that wonderful things there on our website. And, of course, you can download our free mobile app. That's at the Google Play or Apple Store. All you got to do is search up 104.3, and you will find it right there. All right, diving right kind of into the updates on the NBA playoffs. Some claim that Playoff Jimmy might have made a little bit of a return last night as he had a kind of a monster game, one more point than Steph Curry. But Playoff Jimmy may be back, which may make the Warriors a little bit more dangerous. Obviously, the Warriors won their game against the Grizzlies 121-116. It had tension, comebacks, highlights, blunders. Demons vanished for Golden State, which was previously 0-3 on the play-in game stage. Now they've got over that hump. Jimmy Butler brought in for exactly this moment, delivered with a 38-7-6 performance. Playoff Jimmy, at least now play-in Jimmy. Steph Curry.
There you go.
Steph Curry had 37 points as well, so they were obviously both playing great, and that's what Doc A said yesterday. He said the Warriors will win if the big three for that team have the ball in their hands, and it sounds like that was certainly the case. The Warriors will face Houston in the first round, while Orlando really never looked back against the Atlanta Hawks last night. Had the Two Off the Tee podcast with Keith Fleming, so we were kind of watching it and podcasting at the same time, as Keith always tells us about being an Atlanta sports fan. Certainly is tough. I didn't realize that the Hawks have been in like the play-in game for like the last 4 or 5 years. They're like the play-in game, the team, no doubt about that.
The epitome of the play-in.
But if you went on the trip to go see the Orlando Magic on the Magic Express, the Holland Hearts Magic Express, you kind of know what this team's potential is, and they showed a little bit of it last night with that blowout win over those Atlanta Hawks, and they advance to play the Boston Celtics. So, you win the play-in game, in good fashion, and then boom, all of a sudden now you got to play the Boston Celtics. Obviously, we'll have 2 more games tonight to determine the loser of the game tonight is out. They're done. The winner of that game will face the Hawks and the Memphis Grizzlies, with the winner of that game securing the 8th seed. I finally now officially understand how this all works with the play-in game. Getting good at learning this particular stuff. But yeah, let's see. The game's coming up tonight. I know we talked about them yesterday, but let me pull them up here real quick. Let's see. We got the Heat and the Bulls, the 9th, 10th place game. Right now, the Bulls are a 1.5-point favorite at home against the Miami Heat, and the Mavericks and the Kings square off in Sacramento. Sacramento, 4.5-point favorite in that one. Final segment, we'll pick against the spread and see who David and I like in those 2 games coming up tonight. Interesting claim that came out of Travis Hunter's mouth yesterday, or maybe it was earlier today. I don't remember exactly when it was. I got some more Nico news as well, but Travis Hunter says he'll quit football if not allowed to play both offense and defense. Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter says the team that drafts him doesn't let him play both offense and defense, he would quit football. Hunter has made his desire to play both sides of the ball like he's done throughout his career clear to NFL teams and meetings leading up to next week's draft. I'm never playing football again because I've been doing it this way my whole life. I love being on the football field. I feel like I could dominate on each side of the ball, so I really enjoy doing it. Colorado coach Deion Sanders, who flipped Hunter from Florida State to Jackson State on National Signing Day back in 2022 and brought Hunter from Jackson State to Colorado, started quarterback during his career and also played a bunch of receiver. He also played professional baseball during his NFL career. Sanders' openness to letting Hunter play both sides of the ball was a chief motivator for Hunter to follow his childhood idol to 2 different coaching stops. It's not like it hasn't been done, but doing it on a whole nother level than college would be pretty impressive, so why not? Hunter led Colorado in receiving yards and touchdowns last season after missing time with injuries back in 2023 and Jackson State in 2022. He also led the team in interceptions in both of his seasons at Colorado. He played 1,461 overall snaps last season, according to Pro Football Focus. In addition to the Heisman Trophy, Hunter won the Biletnikoff Award. I think that's the nation's best receiver, as well as the Bednarik Award and Lot Impact Trophy, which are both given to the college's best defender. I just feel very confident myself. I am confident spirit. I am a competitive spirit that I can do whatever I put my mind to, and I feel like I can do it, he said. Ravens coach John Harbaugh expressed skepticism about Hunter's ability to play full-time on both sides, as he's done in high school and college. I don't know if there's enough hours in the day, Harbaugh told ESPN. You can certainly do it. I would think on one side of the ball and then have some sort of package on the other side of the ball, which is my guess is how the team will do it wherever he goes. What do you think, David? Do you think I just like preparation, film watching, all that stuff, you're doubling, it's kind of what Harbaugh said, you're doubling the amount of time that you have to dedicate to prepping and watching film, and it just seems that you don't have a ton of guys doing it in the NFL because it's so hard to do.
You don't have any guys doing it in the NFL.
Yeah, not now, yeah.
Well, yeah, and even the guys who've done it before, in my timeline and my history of being on this earth, there's never been someone who does it at a full-time pace. They might come in for a few plays. There might be a package for him. If he wants to do it, great. The thing is that it is going to come down to the organization for them to decide whether or not they want him to. You got to be good enough on both sides of the ball. Just because you could do it in college, in the Big 12, which is, that's not a slouch. I'm not saying anything like, oh, you did it in the Big 12, try to do it in the SEC. No, that's not what I'm saying. Just because you did it at the collegiate level does not mean that is going to transfer over to the National Football League. But I do think, I think most of this is what he's saying. He's not going to know when a team drafts him whether or not they're going to play him on both sides of the ball. He's not going to find that out till they get to practice. Yeah. I'm sure in practice, they're going to be playing him on both sides of the ball. He'll be doing drills with both groups. But yeah, there is going to have to be one that he specializes in, I believe, because to play that many snaps at the NFL level, he doesn't even know right now. Right now, all he's doing is talking about what he wants to do, right?
Yeah.
How many times do we have plans on what we want to do, and how often do those plans work out the way we want them to? So we'll figure it out, but ain't nobody going to sit there and say, I'm retiring from the thing that I've worked my tail off to my whole entire life to get to. I'm retiring because I'm not getting what I want. I don't think that it's going to work like that. Maybe if he gets 2 contracts in, sure. But right now, I think we don't really have to worry about Travis Hunter retiring before he even plays an NFL snap.
Yeah, and if he did, that's absolutely wild. And, because that's the goal, right? I thought it used to be. The goal was, if you're a high-level elite football player, the goal was to make it to the NFL. But nowadays, with with all the different sagas and things happening, maybe they're losing the drive. I don't know. I just don't see a scenario where he doesn't play NFL football. And you got to imagine Deion's kind of in his ear with these quotes, being like, "Hey, dude, calm down. Don't do anything crazy. Let's see how this process shakes out. Let's even see what team you go to, because this NFL draft is going to be an interesting one because it's such a heavy running back, defensive end. Quarterback's not the best class. Wide receiver's decent, but when the first pick happens with the Tennessee Titans, that's going to create a waterfall of different things, like who goes second. Who is Cam Ward the guy going to the Titans? A lot of people say he is, but is he really that person? Someone to try to trade up for that pick and steal it and make a different change. So we really don't know anything until we're a week and a day out from the NFL draft, I believe. That starts next Thursday.
Yeah.
Nice. Oof, all of a sudden that bad boy is creeping up on us. That's good stuff. Looking forward to the draft. Looking forward to see where all these guys shake out. Just kind of continuing the Nico Iamaleava. I think I got it there. Was I close?
Iamaleava.
Yeah. Like Hawaii.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Polynesian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But he's officially now.
I think, honestly, we can go back and listen to Brad Law say it a couple times yesterday, and then that'll be the correct pronunciation.
I used to have it in my notes on my phone just to be able to pronounce his name, and I had it all hyphened out like they do on Google when you search it up. But anyway, he is officially now in the transfer portal. But there's a lot of people pulling out their names in consideration. I know Tulane has pulled out just because the conversation was so back and forth that they just kind of got tired of it. I guess his dad was getting involved heavily.
Yeah.
And, they just didn't like that back and forth without making anything kind of concrete going forward. So Tulane pulls out. Now, no shade to Tulane. They've been fantastic the last few years, heavily quarterback driven as well. But, when Tulane's like, hey, you know what, guy, we don't really like how you're communicating with us, that's definitely a red flag. And UNC has officially given Nico a no contact order as well. So some of these teams starting to drop off. Kind of the main landing site, I think what a lot of people are saying, is UCLA. Obviously, he'd probably fit in out there in Los Angeles with all the divas and the interesting people out there. No shade to L.A. My dad grew up in South Los Angeles in Canoga Park. So, I can't really say anything bad about L.A., but maybe that's where Nico ends up. I don't know. The saga is interesting. Again, we talked about it yesterday, too, but just glad Tennessee did what they did, because the waterfall effect of that could have been absolutely drastic for college football.
Still could be to an extent.
No, yeah.
If someone gives him the money, then I think it's even worse. You don't want to see Tennessee bend the knee, if you will. But if he ends up getting $4 million or close more than what he was getting at Tennessee, then I think that encourages some of the other players to sit there and be like, all right, well, if he did it, we could do it too. If it doesn't work out for him, then I think you could have other coaching staffs and other teams tell him, you don't want to be the next Nico, do you?
Yeah, it could be used as a negative towards that kind of stuff. But yeah, still, just surprising stuff coming out of these quote unquote kids. I mean, he is a kid. I mean, he was a freshman last year, 5-star recruit. And I guess you just never really know until they get into the program. But Coach Heupel was saying that, Tennessee is such a big brand. And I think we hit on that yesterday, maybe talking about, there's also value in the brand. Maybe it was Brad Law. But Tennessee's brand is massive. So you start, sniffing around other places. Were you getting that money because you were at Tennessee? Are you going to be able to kind of find that elsewhere? But I don't know. I know it's not going to be at Oregon either because they've got a few good ones. And Dan Lanning's was.
I mean, who knows though?
Yeah, maybe Dan Lanning was playing
the plot thickens. Transfer portal officially opens today. And then it will close in 10 days on the 25th. So
there's so many different transfer portal windows.
Tyler Bishop had a good point yesterday. He thinks Dan Lanning is on that same line of loving football as Kirby, as Nick Saban, as the coaches who care more about college football than they do. Or the direction of college football than they do anything else. So that could be a factor.
Yeah, makes sense.
But he also could be being a little sneaky sly thing.
Yeah.
And we'll see.
Look over here. All right, I'm going to slide in and steal this. If, he thinks he's good enough to do it. But, yeah, obviously we're getting ever so closer to that NFL draft where, that has a impact down there through college as well. But like I had mentioned, kind of with the QB crop lacking a little bit in this upcoming draft, some of the strong positions, and we're going to have Alan Sandage on next Thursday to really do a deep dive into his mock draft and what he's looking at and see some of the guys maybe later in the rounds that could make some serious potential. But obviously, this particular draft is really defined by 3 different positions. Running back, which is super deep. You're going to see so many running backs go. And who's going to end up getting that steal of those really good guys kind of in that second, third round? Because this is one of the more deeper running back classes in quite some time. Also tight ends, led by obviously Penn State's Tyler Warren, but pretty deep with a lot of starters potentially being able to plug right into the NFL. So looking forward to seeing that. And then, of course, the defensive line led by Abdul Carter and Michigan's Mason Graham. There are 28 edge rushers and defensive tackles on Dane Brugler's top 100, 40% more than last year's class. So obviously a pretty impressive defensive end and edge rushers class as well, which I know is a position that is highly sought after in the NFL. I'm hoping the Niners can steal a few edge rushers late in the round as well to kind of rebolster our defensive line because we pretty much lost everybody. So also, another Nico that's been in the news for the last several months, Mavericks GM Nico Harrison says he has no regrets about trading Luka Doncic. I'm going to call the BS meter at a 10 out of 10 in that one because you can't say that and then what all has transpired with all that stuff. But and then they targeted Anthony Davis because his philosophy that defense wins championships. How's that going, Nico? That defense not looking so good. But in his first media availability since the day after the trade, he also thinks the Mavericks are still a championship caliber team when healthy, noting that the fans got to see his vision come to life after the Davis trade before he got hurt. That's nonsense is what that is. But and I heard earlier, I forget which program, it was probably the guys before us, but they said the Luka Doncic jersey from the Lakers is the most selling jersey this year so far, and it's only been from a couple months, outselling LeBron and Steph Curry for the first time in a long time. So obviously still one of the most loved players there in the NBA. And when you go to a big market like that, usually your jersey sales sales will fly up too. They were even saying a lot of the Mavs fans were buying those jerseys as well.
Oh, wow. Wearing them to the games?
Yeah. I mean, the ultimate hate towards an organization.
Yeah.
But, he was their glue, and he was, one of the best players in the NBA. And to trade him like that and let him go like that's just is pretty wild stuff. But ESPN will broadcast Caitlin Clark's return to Iowa for the Indiana Fever's exhibition game against Brazil's national team on May 4th. So looking forward to seeing that coming up. Obviously, Paige Beckers is moving the needle a little bit down there in Dallas as well. A little bit more percentage increase than when Caitlin Clark came to the Fever, but noted that, if you have a low number and you increase it by a certain amount, it may not be apples to apples. But we got to go ahead and take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to update you on the NHL playoffs because we had a few teams clinch last night. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
You can still hold out and want more money. Quit on his teammates.
He did.
Yeah. But what he did
And I will never forget when his mom and dad asked me to help pay for his education.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to do it at first. And I said, you know what? Let's do it.
Kid's got potential.
He's got potential. Let's help him out.
Today's payments.
Weekday morning 7 to 9. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Wednesday. For this afternoon and evening, sunshine and a high of 75 with a light breeze around 6 miles per hour coming out of the west. Tonight, clear skies with lows around 60. Tomorrow, sunny with a light breeze and a temperature near 77. Moving into Friday, about the same with a high of 78 and sunny. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Come experience the weird and wonderful world of El Weirdo, a brewery and taco pub in downtown Panama City on Oak Avenue. El Weirdo is serving up delicious street tacos, magical wizard fries, locally brewed beer, margaritas, and more, all surrounded by art, oddities, and all things weird. It's a feast for your eyes and your mouth. Visit El Weirdo in historic downtown Panama City today.
El Weirdo, 24 West Oak Avenue, and online at elweirdodowntown.com.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Hereeth my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times?
You're playing the lute. Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Broadcasting from the Gulf Plus Studios, it's the Inside Drive. Welcome to the Inside Drive, the next big thing.
It's a big, huge, giant deal.
Sports betting, huge reactions, your calls and real-time coverage of the stories you're following on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. All right, let's dive into some NHL action, y'all's favorite topic, but I highly encourage you to watch some of these NHL playoff games as they will certainly be intense and a lot of fun. And speaking of intense and fun, with the combination of the results on Tuesday, the Minnesota Wild and St. Louis Blues clinched the 2 wildcard spots in the Western Conference, eliminating the Calgary Flames from playoff contention and kind of extending Marc-Andre Fleury's career a little bit. Obviously, last night was his last ever regular season game. Just a wonderful career for Marc-Andre Fleury. He is second all-time in wins, only behind the great Martin Brodeur. Brodeur had 691 wins in 1,266 games played. Marc-Andre Fleury, who played for Pittsburgh, Las Vegas, Chicago, and now Minnesota, has 575 wins in 1,051 games played. Total ice time, 60 60,669 minutes and 3 seconds. Not 2 seconds, but 3 seconds. Martin Brodeur leads total ice time at 74,438 and 25 seconds. One of those records I think will never be broken in hockey is the shutout record for Martin. I remember when he broke that record, it was a pretty exciting day. He's got 125 total shutouts, which is, obviously you should know what a shutout is. It's when you don't allow a goal. Soccer, lacrosse, hockey, whatever. Baseball, shutout, perfect game.
Never heard of one of those in basketball.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
Football, yes.
Football, absolutely.
Cricket, I don't know.
Yeah, well, cricket's a high-scoring game, so.
Rugby,
possibly. There were some Australian rules on yesterday.
Yeah,
and that's a high-scoring game because it's a little bit similar to rugby, but the way you score is a little bit different there. But yes, Terry Sawchuk, I don't know if that's a name a lot of y'all remember, but he's second in shutouts with 103, but played a lot less games, 971 total there. Total games played by a NHL goalie, again, Marc-Andre Brodeur. Martin Brodeur with 1,266. Marc-Andre Fleury bested Roberto Luongo's 1,044. He bested that not too long ago, as Marc-Andre Fleury's ahead of him by 7 total games. So it's a long career for these guys, and impressive there by Marc-Andre Fleury. I know the game he played last night, they lined up again and everybody shook his hands and appreciated what he has done. So, but some big time names, goaltending world names. Martin Brodeur leads with 1,266. Marc-Andre Fleury, like I just said, 1,051. Roberto Luongo at 1,044. Patrick Waugh at 1,029. Terry Sawchuk at 971. Eddie the Eagle Belfour, 963. Curtis Joseph, also known as Cujo, 943. And coming in at number 12, Glenn Hall. Then you had Hendrik Lundqvist, Tony Esposito, John Vanderbeek. That was not Vanderbeek, but Vanderbrook. He played for the Devils a little bit, but kind of started his career there with the Rangers, spent a lot of time in Florida. Grant Fuhr, another name that if you've been following hockey, is known for a long time. I'm surprised he doesn't have more games. He felt like he was in the league forever. Maybe he's just a little older when he got his start. But yeah, so congratulations to Marc-Andre Fleury on the second most wins and games played in the NHL. He will keep going into the playoffs this year, as they have just now clinched a playoff spot there with the Minnesota Wild. So, hockey is alive and well right now, and we are about to roll into the playoffs. On the other side, the Eastern Conference, the Columbus Blue Jackets won in regulation against the Philadelphia Flyers, keeping their slim chances intact. Will we see Wednesday where we clinch the 16th team in the playoff field, or will it move to Thursday to be the determination of who gets that last spot there in the Eastern Conference? Tonight, coming up, you've got the Carolina Hurricanes and those Montreal Canadiens. This is the most important game of the night by a considerable margin. With a win of any variety or loss in overtime or shootout, the Canadiens clinch the second Eastern wild card spot. The only thing that keeps the Blue Jackets' hopes intact is a regulation loss from Montreal. It is unclear what type of roster the Habs will face from the Canes, as the latter have been locked into the number 2 playoff spot for quite some time. The Ducks will finish Anaheim and Winnipeg is another big one coming up tonight. The Ducks will finish no lower than 9th in the draft lottery order. They enter the game with 79 points, and the teams lower to them have 82 or more. But a loss here, followed by wins Thursday by the Penguins and the Sabres, could get them as high as 7th. The Jets have recently looked up to the President's Trophy as the NHL's top regular season team, the top NHL regular season team and number one seed as long as they last in the playoffs. Another game tonight that's got some importance, the Wings and the Devils, the Red Wings and the Devils, that is. The Wings are currently 12th in the draft lottery order. They have 83 points and 29 regulation wins and can move up as high as 10th if the Islanders win Thursday and they lose their next 2 games. Excuse me. Like the Hurricanes, the Devils have been locked in their playoff position for a while now, and it's Carolina against whom they match up in round number 1. Some other important games coming up tonight. The Dallas Stars and the Nashville Predators, two teams at opposite ends of the Central Division, and neither one can make a move based on the results of the game. The Stars will open the playoffs at the number 2 spot in the Central against the number 3 seeded Colorado Avalanche, while the Predators are locked in at the number 3 position in the NHL draft lottery order. So Predators pretty much got a pretty good shot to get the projected number 1 pick. Also, you got the Las Vegas Golden Knights and the Vancouver Canucks. They're a pair of Pacific Division teams whose results tonight will not change the standings. The Golden Knights clinched the number 1 seed in the Pacific Division recently, and the Canucks are locked in the number 15 team in the draft lottery order. Last but not least, the Edmonton Oilers and the San Jose Sharks. Here's another pair of Pacific teams that are already locked in as well. San Jose has been in the number 1 spot in the draft lottery for quite some time as the worst team currently in the NHL by point standards, a position they clinched recently. Meanwhile, the Oilers will be the number 3 seed in the Pacific Division bracket, taking on the number 2 seeded Los Angeles Kings in round 1. David, I saw your little preview of the playoffs last night with your Lightning and the Florida Panthers. And if I'm not mistaken, you guys kind of took it to those the Florida Panthers.
Yeah, I think it was 5-1.
5-1, yeah, absolutely. So do you think these games leading up to it, if you win or lose, do you think that changes anything going into the series?
I don't know about changes anything. I think it kind of sets the tone. We had Andrew Weiss on talking about the NHL playoffs and how these games leading into the playoffs are going to they set the tone for those first playoff rounds. I believe you have Carolina, whoever they took on one of these last few games. I guess it would be the Capitals. No, that wasn't even Andrew Weiss. That was Al Carl, talking about how that particular series or that particular game was going to, if it was Washington and Carolina, how that would, or Washington and New Jersey, maybe it was. I don't know. He's talking about two teams, how they set the tone for the playoff.
It was the Capitals and somebody, but I forget who it was. Or no, it might have been the Hurricanes and the Devils, because they will be facing off starting this Saturday.
But either way, I think that these games do play a role, but also it's for the first couple of games, right?
Yeah.
First 2 games, and then after that, it's kind of no holds barred.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's why I encourage you to watch these playoff games. And they're all televised on national TV. Or if you want to jump into, I almost said Lucid Streams TV, Scorpion TV, you can check that out at ESPNPC.com. Sign up for that, only $41.99 a month using code ESPNNW. You won't be disappointed. Just make sure you got a good, fast internet connection, which, if you have multiple people in your house and using devices, then you probably have some fast internet.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it might get a little bit frustrating there. But, NHL playoffs set to get start. NBA playoffs getting started, I believe, this Saturday? I think everything culminates or starts this Saturday.
But technically, the NBA playoffs have already started.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
The series will start, I believe, this Saturday.
Yeah. Perfect. Looking forward to that. Let's see if we got any comments here on Facebook. Probably not, no. Give us a call, 850-215-6290. If anybody likes hockey out there, call me. I'd love to talk about it. But we will have Al Carl joining us every Monday at 11:20 to kind of keep us updated on, one, how the Caps are doing, but two, kind of how the playoffs are going from his eyes inside the business and usually down there on ice level. So looking forward to having him come in each and every week. All right, real quick, we'll talk about the new softball rankings came out as well. A lot of SEC teams in there again, and Texas A&M has now taken the number 1 spot in the softball rankings. They were previously ranked number 3, and Texas was ranked number 1, but I think Alabama had won the series or won a couple games against Texas that knocked them out of that number 1 spot.
What sport is that, softball?
Softball, yeah. I know I saw a walk-off, I think, a couple days ago. I don't know. I see it every once in a while on the bottom on the ticker. So
that's one thing especially if I don't watch SportsCenter at night.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea.
I like watching their
I love
regionals
it.
and
yeah,
and
no,
all
no,
that,
that's
yeah.
what I'm saying. Though that's when I start getting into it. Though, you know, right now it's we just finished up March Madness. I'm watching baseball, and then we'll get into college softball and college baseball as we near that.
Couple 2 or 3 weeks. Usually June is when you start seeing the further along the super regionals and then the World Series. So yeah, it's obviously heating up. Tennessee, another SEC team, ranked number 2. They were previously ranked number 5. I think they had a nice series win this past weekend, jumped them all the way up there to number 2. 2 more SEC teams in the top 4. Texas, previously number 1. We just talked about how they fell from number 1. And then Oklahoma, after losing, I thought I knew that one off the top of my head, but I don't. Oklahoma, 36-4, dropped from number 2 to number 4. Followed by UCLA, Oregon, Florida at number 7, Florida State at number 8, LSU at 9, Arkansas at 10. So I believe that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 SEC softball teams inside the top 10. Virginia Tech, South Carolina, Arizona, Texas Tech, Mississippi State, Stanford, Alabama, Duke, Clemson, Ole Miss, Nebraska, Okie Dokie State, Georgia, Ohio State.
Okie dokie State.
Oklahoma State.
Yeah, no.
I know you know. Well, hopefully you know. Yeah, I don't know why that came out. It just did. Unfortunately, nobody dropped out of the top 25. Some other teams receiving votes: Virginia, Auburn, Grand Canyon, Washington, and Texas State. Little Sun Belt Conference action there. I don't think I talked about. We did talk about Auburn's ranking. Depending on which poll you're looking at. But on the baseball side of things, Texas moved up from number 2 to number 1, switched spots there with the Arkansas Razorbacks. Clemson, a typical perennial powerhouse there in college baseball. I still remember when I went to Clemson to look at their PGA program and toured it. When you go into their athletic facilities, it just was baseball, 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 baseball. Now, that was back in the mid-early 2000s, so they hadn't quite got their football stretch going yet. I don't think Dabo was there yet. They really hadn't become a big football powerhouse, so golf and baseball were 2 of their big things there. Tennessee at number 4, Georgia 5, Oregon State 6, Florida State Seminoles still hanging out there inside the top 8 at number 7, Auburn at number 8. This is the Baseball.com top 25 poll. I know there's a few other polls for baseball as well. LSU number 9, UCLA 10, Ole Miss 11, UNC at 12, UC Irvine at 13, having a great season, 25-8. Georgia Tech at 14, Alabama at 15, Oregon 16, Louisville 17, Oklahoma 18, Vanderbilt 19, Troy, for all you Troy alum down here in the Florida Panhandle, which there's a lot of them. They are currently ranked number 20 in the top 25 rankings. The Coastal Carolina Chanticleers at number 21. This is their first season without Coach Gary Gilmore at the helm as he retired at the end of last season. Arizona Wildcats 22. Southern Miss for Coach James Hale ranked number 23. West Virginia and TCU round out the top 25. Kansas and Virginia Tech dropped out of that particular baseball ranking. A lot of great weekend series coming up this weekend. I know Brad Law was telling us a little bit about the Auburn Tigers will be traveling to LSU this weekend for a big-time series. I don't know if Texas. I don't know why I said LSU. They just beat LSU last weekend in a series sweep for the first time in a long time. But yes, coming up this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you've got an Ole Miss South Carolina series, an Auburn Texas series. For all those that care, like me, a Marshall Coastal Carolina series. Florida State will be hosting Virginia Tech. Beautiful weather this weekend. I know it's Easter weekend, so probably not a lot of travel to watch baseball, but I know we have a lot of people in this area that make the trip both to Gainesville and Tallahassee to watch some great college baseball. North Carolina's got a series against Virginia Tech, TCU against UCF, Cincinnati against West Virginia, Arizona versus BYU. Little rivalry, Kentucky and Tennessee. They have a series coming up this weekend. Georgia State, Southern Miss, Louisville, and Clemson, a top 25 matchup. Oklahoma, Missouri, Alabama travels to LSU for a top 25 matchup. Georgia at Vanderbilt for a top 25. Troy takes on UL Monroe at home this weekend. Arkansas hosts Texas A&M. Oregon State, Cal State Northridge. Georgia Tech will travel down to Coral Gables to take on Miami. UCLA at Oregon, another top 25 matchup that is at UCLA. And last but not least, in the top 25, UC Irvine hosting the Hawaii Rainbows. They're the Rainbows, right?
I believe they're the Rainbow Warriors.
Warriors.
Yeah, I don't think they're just the Rainbows.
I am the Aztec Warrior. I hadn't seen that movie in a long time, but a good one nonetheless. But yeah, a lot of great top 25 series. The cool thing about college baseball is if you have ESPN Plus, you can pretty much watch every game should you want to. And that's, I love the fact that you can.
Yeah, Rainbow Warriors.
Warriors, okay. And that makes sense because, you know, obviously the warrior aspect of that is cool. But college baseball, it's winding down the regular season. Looking forward to the regionals and the super regionals coming up. Hopefully, maybe Florida State will, I'm sure they will, with the season they're having, host another regional, potential super regional. That was a lot of fun when we went to that one last year. It was a good time at a baseball.
Hot as all get out, though.
Ooh, it was hot. Best saved a gentleman, well, not saved, but was there when a gentleman was passing out in the breezeway. That was a hot, toasty game, but fun nonetheless. College baseball, looking forward. And, of course, we got great local college baseball as well with Gulf Coast State, I believe, having a good season thus far. Do you ever have their head coach on?
I think I've only had Tyler Younger on one time, and I've had Coach Scott Thomas on a few times. He's a softball coach.
Mm-hmm.
I need to start kind of getting back into the routine of that.
Yeah, no, I think that's the one I was thinking, because I've heard you with the softball coach on.
Yeah, I had both. When it was Phil Gaffney, I was blanking on his name like the other day, 2 days ago, and it just came to me right now.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah, Phil Gaffney, we used to have him on. I haven't had the new Gulf Coast men's basketball coach on, and Rory, the women's coach, we have him on frequently.
Yeah, and if you're looking for something to do for your kids, they got a lot of great summer camps coming up. Baseball, volleyball, basketball, all sorts of stuff. Also, pay attention to local high schools. A lot of great camps coming out if you're looking for something to do for your kids who may not qualify for the, big time summer care that we have around here.
I used to go to those baseball camps at Gulf Coast when I was younger.
Yeah, see? Yeah. There you go.
Great camps.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of fun, too. A lot of fun. That's what it's all about, these camps. You learn a lot, too, but certainly a lot of fun as well. We got to go ahead and take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about some Olympic golf changes coming to the 2028 Olympics. And also, since we don't have an Afternoon Delight debrief today, I'm going to go into a good story from Wade Boggs, which maybe some people know about it, but this is from the actual flight attendants, a little first-person story action. Listen to the Inside Drive. We'll be right back.
Boom! A two-run home run!
The Atlanta Braves are back.
Here comes the throw! It's late! Braves win!
And ESPN Northwest Florida is your exclusive radio home for Braves country.
He just wrecked that thing! Straight away center, a homer for Riley.
Sales, Strider, Acuna, Ozzie, Riley, Profar, and Coach Snitker lead a stellar lineup. Listen live nights and weekends on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Do you want to eat like a local? The Local 115 is now open. Local drinks, local sports, and local food. Delicious oysters, crab cakes, steamed seafood, gumbos, salads, paninis, wings, wine, and cold beer. Nothing fried. That's right. No fried foods at Local 115. Amazing local food with an exciting local sports and mural theme. Eat like a local at the Local 115. 115 Harrison Avenue, downtown Panama City.
Beach Pizza, formerly Marcy's Pizza, is back with more hours and more pizza. Beach Pizza has new owners and now open every day, 11 to 11. Pizza by the slice, whole pies, wings, pretzels, garlic knots, and more choice eats in East PCB. I finally tried a slice, and it was a thin crust, totes, cheesy slice of paradise. 8815 B Thomas Drive. Online at beachpizzapcb.com. Call ahead, 850-775-4053.
Hello? Honey, my radio is making this loud squeaking noise when I'm stopping my car. I really think I might need new speakers.
Oh, why don't you try turning down the radio, hon?
It just got worse.
Maybe we should take it down to Alford Tire and Service Center, and maybe they can figure out what's going on. At Alford Tire and Service Center, we provide peace and quiet with the radio off. So if your car is making a strange noise, come and see us for your free visual safety inspection today. Located on Tyndall Parkway in beautiful Callaway, we do it all at Alford Tire and Service Center.
Broadcasting from the Gulf Plus Studios, it's the Inside Drive. Join the best of day winning Inside Drive with all your lines, props, and covers. Winning on ESPN Northwest Florida.
welcome back. If that doesn't get you moving in your car or wherever you're listening, I don't know what will. It's got David Hayes moving behind the glass, that's for sure. And I'm keeping it together and not getting overwhelmed by that beautiful dancing going on behind the glass. I pulled it up while we were in the break. If you go to GulfCoastState.com and you click on Clinics and Showcases, lists all the summer camps that they got coming up. I'll go through it real quick. So if anybody's listening, I'm trying to find a place to sign your kids up to learn, have fun, babysit, whatever you want to call it. Girls volleyball camps, just $50. It's 2-day camps, elementary grades 3 through 5th is going to be June 2nd through 3rd. Middle school, grades 6th through 8th, June 9th through 11th. And then high school, which is mainly grades 9 and 10, will be June 5th through 6th. All sessions will be from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. in the Wellness and Building Gym. Right at the top of this page, it says register for summer athletic camps. And I would do it sooner than later because now that I've said it on the radio, who's going to be registering? That's kind of how this thing works. But they also got a baseball camp. That's a 3-day baseball camp right there at the baseball field. June 9th through 11th will be for, it's June 9th through 11th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. On the baseball field. That's for ages 7 to 12 years old. Again, that's a 3-day camp. Same thing with the softball, $75, June 23rd through 25th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Be under the lights there at the softball field. That's for ages 7 through 12. And then, of course, they've got 2 basketball camps coming up as well. Boys basketball camp, that's a 3-day camp from June 16th to 18th or July 21st through 23rd. So 2 different options on that one. That's for anybody 7 to 14 years old. It'll be from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And the girls basketball camp, they've got 1 from June 16th through 18th. That's 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. in the Wellness Building. That is open up for 7th through 12th grade. So again, you just head over to GulfCoastState.com, click on the Clinics and Showcases, and boom, you're right there to register for all those camps. And I know a lot of the high schools, Arnold, Mosley, Bay, there's camps going on. You could probably find those on Facebook as well. So a lot of opportunities for some summer stuff if you're not playing travel ball, rec ball, whatever it may be. You know what? It's a good opportunity. I know Ryan and Liam both did several of these camps last year and had an absolute blast, had a lot of fun, and we'll be doing some of them again this summer, so looking forward to it. And, of course, you know, we've also got, speaking for Brent Dillard and Chris Fall, but happy birthday, Brent, by the way.
There we go. Happy birthday, Brent.
Given the old, he was your coach, wasn't he?
In high school basketball.
Yeah, there you go. The old coach. Happy birthday, Brent. But, yes, a lot of great leagues. I think basketball, volleyball, God bless you, as well as summer flag football as well from Southern Elite Sports. So a lot of good opportunities coming up this summer. You know, you got to keep your kids working. Got to keep them working. If they're not in the classroom, might as well be out there in the gym, on the court, in the field, in the sand, in the grass, wherever it may be. So again, that's some pretty cool summer camps going up. I'll send Gulf Coast the bill in the mail for the plug for all their summer camps, all that good stuff. Good?
Yeah, man. I just, when you cover your mouth like that, sometimes you get a little spittle on the old hands. Little... I'm not working on no clay right now.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, did you ever do pottery?
Never have, no.
It's kind of fun. I took I don't even know what class it was in high school, but we got to do the wheel and all that stuff, and it's cool trying to, it's not as, well, I shouldn't say that. It's not as hard as it looks. If I could do it when I was in high school, anybody could do it, but you got to do the whole thing from the wheel all the way through the kiln, all the way to glazing and all that stuff. When you said you weren't doing any clay, that made me go immediately to there, so don't know how that works, why that works, but getting to the story about some Olympic golf stuff. Obviously, our next Summer Olympics isn't until 2028, as we just had a Summer Olympics last summer in 2024. But when the 2028 Olympics rolls around, there will be more gold medals to be won in the sport of golf. On April 9th, the International Olympic Committee, also known as the IOC, announced that several new medal opportunities are being added to a variety of sports when the Summer Games come to Los Angeles. Among them is golf, which will be making a mixed team event that will be held in addition to the individual men's and women's scheduled for Riviera Country Club in 2028. The mixed events are a true embodiment of gender equality, men and women competing on the same team on the same field of play for their country, IOC Director Kit McConnell said in a news conference. We've seen the real success of these mixed gender events, as long as they're, the gender that they started with. They bring something new, incredibly special for the athletes involved. On this Tuesday, the International Golf Federation announced the specific format of the mixed team events. It follows what the IGF had previously proposed, a 2-player, 16-team competition over 36 holes that would feature an opening round of foursomes, which, if you know the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup, that's alternate shot, and a final round of 4-ball play. That's where you each hit your shots, play the hole all the way out, and you pick the best score, and that counts for your score. The teams would be selected from the 60 men and 60 women already qualified for individual play based on the Olympic golf ranking, which is only 1 team per country. We're absolutely thrilled to see a mixed team event added to the program for Los Angeles 2028, said Anthony Skalnan, the IGF executive director, in a press release. Golf was incredibly successful at Paris in 2024 as we continue to build on the momentum from Rio in 2016 and Tokyo in 2020. We are excited to bring even more attention to our sport through this additional format. Athletes were very enthusiastic about their desire to play with their compatriots, and we look forward to watching them compete together in Los Angeles. As for the timing of the event, it will be held between the men's and women's individual competitions. It will mark the first time there's been a team golf event in the Olympics since the 1904 Games in St. Louis. Currently, the PGA Tour and LPGA Tour have held unofficial mixed events, the Grant Thornton Invitational in December. In addition to golf, there will be expanded mixed events in archery, track and field, a 4x100 mixed relay, gymnastics, rowing coastal beach sprint, and table tennis. That's kind of cool. The IOC also announced the first time in history all team sports will at least have the same number of women's teams as men's teams, with the water polo adding 2 women's teams, making it now 12 women's and 12 men's team. I like the golf aspect of it. Obviously, table tennis, that kind of stuff will be pretty cool too. But, the LPGA and the PGA Tour, like they said, that Grant Thornton Invitational is a mixed event, but it's not 2 players on the same team playing. It'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out, especially in the alternate shot format, obviously playing from different tees. But we never see this kind of crossover in golf typically, but also in these other sports too. That'll be neat.
Yeah,
that'll be neat.
Crossovers are always fun, and it adds that extra layer of demographics that normally tune into the sport, which brings extra eyeballs to the sport, which could possibly turn someone on to loving the sport, and then they could have kids, or they already have kids, and then they could end up loving the sport, which will help with the longevity of golf.
The 4x100 mixed is going to be interesting. Like, I'm assuming that the way they set up the relay.
This isn't golf?
No, this was golf, but they're also going to be doing a 4x100 mixed relay, gymnastics, rowing coastal beach sprint, and table tennis will also have mixed events as well. I wonder if you have to go like man, woman, and everybody has to follow that, or you could kind of you just get it at your
woman, man.
Yeah, get it at your own discretion and kind of put some strategery in there. But obviously, this will all debut in the 2028 Olympics. Flag football is not debuting in that Olympics?
Yeah, LA.
It is? It's the first one? Okay, awesome. So, man, a lot of changes coming up to the Olympics. Certainly, we'll see how this mixed event goes. Obviously, when you're playing those Ryder Cup-style format events, the golf balls are so different. Obviously, the tees they're playing from will be different. But there's a lot of things that, you don't really think about when you're playing with another person.
Right.
And now with different genders, just stuff is so different when it comes to the equipment, the ball, where they're playing from, all that stuff. So I'm actually, when I saw this particular article, I was actually kind of excited about that. As I'll definitely be watching for that one. That'll certainly be cool. Let me find this Wade Boggs story. I'm trying to see which tab it's on. It's on my Facebook tab. All right. Here we go. This is kind of an afternoon delight debrief. It'll take us probably to Keith Fleming at the top of the hour. This is from a sports memery page on Facebook. For decades, baseball lore has echoed with the tales of Wade Boggs guzzling 107 beers in a single day, 73 of which legend claims were consumed on a single cross-country flight from Boston to L.A. in 1994. But now, flight attendants who were actually on that flight have come forward to clear the air on what really took place. Have you ever heard of this story? I hadn't.
Is this with him drinking all the beers?
Yeah, 107.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the flight attendants have now come forward to clear the air on what actually took place. I just don't know if your human body can hold that much liquid. You can't chug it
There's
down.
a will, there's a way, brother. Especially when it comes to something like that. Which when you're drinking something like that, you're like, it's a lot easier to chug water. It's a lot easier to chug other things. But where the mind goes, I guess it'll take you.
There you go. The plane takes off, right? And guys immediately start doing their usual, cracking open beers, dealing cards, lots of macho backslapping, recalls one flight attendant. Boggs was certainly enthusiastic, I'll give him that. About an hour in, I collected 5, maybe 6 empties from him, and I remember thinking that was pretty impressive. Then one of his teammates, clearly drunker than even Boggs was at the time, slaps Boggs on the back and goes, "Boggsy, you're like at 51 beers, brother." He only had like 6 cans next to him, but Boggs looked down at the empty beers and said, "Let's see how many I can get down before this bird lands, boys." What followed next was not the heroic odyssey we've all been led to believe, but rather the slow, embarrassing implosion of a grown man trying to impress his coworkers at a level of drinking no one asked of him. Around what I guessed was...
I don't know. It seems like they asked
Yeah, no doubt. Around what I guessed was beer 9, Boggs stands up all woggly, shirt already off for some reason, and slurs, "Cheers to number 60, before attempting to crush half a Miller Lite on his own forehead," said another attendant. "Only it doesn't crush. He just keeps smashing against his face like he's headbutting a soup can. Eventually, the beer explodes and he starts bleeding from the head, likely severely concussed. A nearby rookie, likely concerned for what is clearly a broken man with a horrendous drinking problem, ended up catching the shrapnel. Boggs turned to the other players and shouted, "To the legends!" and projectile vomited directly into the rookie's lap, the attendant explained. The poor kid tried to dab himself off with cocktail napkins, trying not to gain any more of Boggs' attention than he already had. Boggs just wiped his mouth, sat back down, and muttered, "Welp, number 60 down," then cracked another one to scattered golf flecks. At what was the infamous claims that Boggs never used the restroom during the entire flight, I mean, yeah, obviously that's BS for anyone who can do the math and realizes that 73 beers of liquid is over 50 pounds, one attendant scuffled. The man was living in the bathroom on 1/10 of that consumption. I don't even know if he was peeing half the time or just hiding and crying at the lack of fanfare he was receiving from the other players. By hour 3, the lavatory looked like a Jackson Pollock piece comprised completely of shame and gastrointestinal regret. There were handprints on the mirror, mustache hair in the sink. At one point, someone said it smelled like my Uncle Doug's house after we found him that one weekend. We had the rope of the bathroom. We had to rope off the bathroom for the remainder of the flight. As the plane begins its descent, Boggs, now shirtless and partially concussed, stood atop a row of chairs and declared, "Only 6 beers remaining between me and immortality. Come on down, Hiroshio," pointing to the Japanese Hiroshio. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct. Anyway, he said, pointing, a Japanese teammate, new to the team, new to America, and reconsidering his entire career at this point, began counting in Japanese numbers while Boggs jabbed a key into the side of a can and attempted to shotgun it. Slowly, awkwardly, like a vampire trying to sip soup through a drywall. We could swear he was falling asleep during the chug. Where'd I go? During the chug. After an awkward amount of time passed, Hishiro, I think that's it, stopped counting and Boggs collapsed onto the nearby seat, beer trailing down his bare chest, said the attendant. After a few minutes passed, I sat next to him because no one else would. There was a long silence. Then finally, Boggs spoke. "Why did I do this? Huh?" he asked, staring out the window. "I'm funny. I can be the funny guy. Why can't I just be funny guy Boggs? Why do I always got to be the drunk party guy for these clowns?" I didn't answer. I didn't even know what to say. "But this is the life I chose," he muttered. Then, without breaking an eye contact, he reached into his pants and pulled out one last can that looked like it had been there a really long time, cracked it open, and held it out. "Welp, cheers to 107 anyway," he said. "I could hit 200 if I wanted, at least." He toasted no one and started drinking again. I awkwardly stood up and quietly walked away. I swear I could hear him crying from behind me as I left. So the 107 beers, I'm sure most people thought that was all in lore from the flight attendants there on the plane. Certainly lore indeed. And that takes us to our break. Sorry if I broke anybody's hearts about,
Old Bogsy.
Old Bogsy. But speaking of breaking hearts, we'll have Keith Fleming coming up next at the top of the hour. We're going to break down the Masters again, and then, of course, preview the next event, which is pretty wild. It's a signature event, the RBC Heritage. You're listening to The Inside Drive. We'll be right back.
Keep the game going with ESPN Northwest Florida. Just because you get out of the car doesn't mean the Sports Talk and Live play-by-play have to end. Just say, hey, Alexa, open ESPN Northwest Florida. From Michigan Avenue to the man cave, from the car to the kitchen, we've got you covered. Keep the game going. Hey, Alexa, open ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Wednesday. For this afternoon and evening, sunshine and a high of 75 with a light breeze around 6 miles per hour coming out of the west. Tonight, clear skies with lows around 60. Tomorrow, sunny with a light breeze and a temperature near 77. Moving into Friday, about the same with a high of 78 and sunny. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Are you looking for a place to take a leak? Do you have a truck, tractor, or other hydraulic equipment leaking or not performing as it should? At Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, we can get you back to work. Do you have a busted or leaking hose? Hydraulic cylinder or pump needing repair? If competitive pricing and a quick turnaround are what matter to your business, come see us at Reliable Hydraulic Solutions. Or you can give us a call at 850-326-3000. Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, 6840 Highway 77 in Southport. The best place in town to take a leak.
WPLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX New Haven. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Do you want to eat like a local? The Local 115 is now open. Local drinks, local sports, and local food. Delicious oysters, crab cakes, steamed seafood, gumbos, salads, paninis, wings, wine, and cold beer. Nothing fried. That's right. No fried foods at Local 115. Amazing local food with an exciting local sports and mural theme. Eat like a local at the Local 115. 115 Harrison Avenue, downtown Panama City.
Now back to the Inside Drive, live and local from the Gulf Plus studios.
Sky rockets in flight.
And now, the afternoon delight debrief with the three degenerates from the Inside Drive.
Afternoon delight.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive Live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. This one still sounds just like the Tony Hawk.
Old Tony Hawk, yeah.
Absolutely. When's that new one coming out? I know there's a new one coming out here at some point.
I think it's sometime, well, I was going to say March 25th. We're past that, so.
Maybe it's out.
Maybe
Tony
so.
Hawk Pro Skater 3+4, right?
Yeah.
All right. 4K resolution. Oh, July 11th, 25. This year, July 11th. So not too far down the road. A lot of college football 26. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4. Sometime Grand Theft Auto 6 at some point. I know it takes them a long time to build those games out. Especially
We're waiting on the world to change.
Yeah. All right, John. All right. But I guess it's the whole state of Florida, so it might take a little time to get all that built into the game. But we are sitting here inside the Golf Plus studios. We appreciate Alan Watson and the entire crew over there at Golf Plus. Two great locations right here in Panama City Beach in the Edgewater Shopping Plaza right there next to Firefly. And, of course, up there off Montgomery Highway on 231 in Dothan. Great club fitting, repair, retail. All the new stuff is pretty much out at this point. So if you want to get fit for some clubs, now is a great time to do it. You can even book your appointment online. You don't want to make a phone call. You hate talking to people. Just go to golfplusdothan.com, click on club fitting. You can go to the area here. If you're obviously listening here, get yourself an appointment booked. As they do take some walk-ins, but I would go ahead, like if you're going to the DMV, go ahead and book an appointment online. If you're going to Golf Plus to get a fitting, go ahead and book your appointment online.
Yeah, and you can even skip the gym that day because at least if you're not getting fit in the gym, you're getting fit at Golf Plus.
Absolutely. And I would argue that if you're a golfer, that getting fit for your golf clubs may be even better than being fit physically on the golf course. But fit physically as well is a good thing. It's time to get to my co-host on the 2 Off the Tee podcast. We dove into some Masters yesterday. That's at fantasy6pack.net. And, of course, he's got all his great articles, all his new cheat sheet, which if you bet golf or you do DFS, I highly encourage you to check out that cheat sheet because it's some fantastic information that you can use to make much more educated guesses when it comes to picking your stuff. And that is the one and only Keith Fleming. Keith, long time no talk. How we doing?
Doing great, Ron. How are you?
Doing good. Sorry about your Hawks last night. Hopefully they can win the next game that they have to play in. But like you said, it's kind of the status quo for Atlanta sports fans.
Yeah, just bad enough to not get a high lottery pick, just good enough, for the same. It's just I don't understand it. They love being in the middle. But I do want to real quickly give a shout-out to my lovely wife, who today we celebrate 9 years of marriage. She puts up with all my shenanigans.
And there's a lot.
There is a lot of them. And somebody who's obviously obsessed with sports. So I love her very much and wish her a very happy anniversary.
Well, happy anniversary to the Flemings. We got one coming up in May 10th. So... exciting stuff. You got to celebrate those. You guys got big dinner plans coming up tonight? Or are you cooking for her? Or are you still there?
Sorry, lost you for a second.
That's okay. We can hear you now. I was just asking if, you got any big dinner plans tonight, or are you cooking for the beautiful Miss Brittany Fleming?
That would be a big mistake on my part. She is the chef of the two of us, an amazing cook who, luckily for me, loves to cook. But we are got a room at the Ritz tonight, and we're just going to hang out downtown and go get some dinner and, live big.
There you go. You might as well. Time on this planet is not as long as we think it is, and you got to get out there and enjoy it when you can. So y'all have a great time tonight, and again, congratulations on your anniversary. Big one coming up next year, the old 10 spot.
Exactly. Do you follow the your gifts? Match?
No.
I don't either. I did the first few years, and I'm like, this is getting out of control.
No, I follow the leads that I am given when it comes to that kind of stuff because I don't like to make any mistakes. I don't think I ever followed that particular thing. Maybe down the road if there's more milestone ones, but yeah, no, don't follow that.
Yeah, always listen to, your wife. It's a good thing. So if she recommends stuff, I usually put it in my notes. I don't care when it is. The problem is whether or not she's ordered it on Amazon from the time it's the next time, for me to get her something nice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, Keith, well, I know we talked about it quite a bit last night, but an epic Masters has come and gone.
Yeah, let me start here. Where would you put this Masters all time in your life?
Ooh, in my life, the big Masters in my life, obviously when Tiger won in 97, when Phil won in 04 was a big one, obviously Tiger winning in 19. That's probably my in my lifetime biggest Masters, and I'd probably put this one second or third. I may give Phil's 2004 major breakthrough as right there behind Tiger, and then I'll give Rory's Grand Slam winning one a third spot there. I mean, obviously one of the best Masters in a long, long time.
Would you say that this is the most exciting one, though, that you've seen?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, I think that's probably pretty fair given the circumstances of what transpired throughout the entire round. There's a lot, the Phil one, he did have to make that putt on 18 to win it, so that was kind of exciting. The Tiger 19 won. It was kind of exciting the whole day. His one in 97, it was exciting just because he was new to the game and, a phenom, but he won by a bunch. So, but yeah, no, I think I could put this one at the top as most exciting Masters. Whoop. We lost him. He'll be right back on. We just got to get him. He's probably calling back in, but we'll get him back on the line. And apparently he doesn't have a very exciting Masters. He just was like, you know what? Forget it. We're done. All right, Keith, you're back.
Yeah, sorry. It was cutting in and out, so I wanted to make sure I could hear everything. I think it was definitely the most interesting, exciting one I can ever remember. It had more false finishes than a James Brown's concert. I mean, it was crazy. From the start, with Rory doubling the first hole right out of the gate and just, thinking he had, even though it was only a 2-shot lead, a fairly comfortable lead. And for them to leave the second hole with him trailing was just really amazing. But then to see the swing just between him and Bryson early where, Rory then, to his credit, follows up with birdies on 3 and 4. Bryson makes bogeys on both those holes, and they once again flipped the script big time. Rory, makes those 4 birdies and feels like he's pulling away with it. And then, Justin Rose starts to make this incredible surge. I believe he had 9 birdies, right, on Sunday. I know he had 8, I think, over his final
8 from hole 7 on, and a couple bogeys in there as well, but just the fact he had that many, 9 total birdies in the final round is insane.
It's nuts. And, of course, Rory, I think the one thing I keep forgetting, I rewatch, the great thing about the Masters app or website is Rory's final round. You could watch it in no time. Is he came so dangerously close on 11 from going into the drink. I know he, still made bogey, but that could have been a bigger number. And then, obviously, the biggest miscue, making that double on 13, and then you're just thinking, oh, no, here we go, follows it up with the bogey on 14, and then hits 2 of the greatest iron shots in the situation. Really 3 if you want to count the one of the the first playoff hole.
Yeah.
But yeah, the second shot into 15, just truly remarkable stuff. Only Rory though then misses. Maybe Phil, that 4.5, 5-footer to knock in for eagle, and then again the one on 17 I think was even more impressive because I think he just heard, Rose birdie. Obviously, that was a very loud roar from the 18th green, and, he birdies it, and then again, in Rory fashion, makes bogey from 125. It was just a roller coaster of emotion. And did you not think at times it was, physically hard to watch?
Oh, I mean, I was so anxious the whole time. Obviously, I was pulling for Rory. I had a futures on him before he got real high in odds. So I was definitely pulling for him, not just because of that, but also to see some history in golf. But yeah, you'd go a couple holes, you'd be like, all right, he feels comfortable. And then you could just kind of feel all the emotion change and all the angst. That was probably the most, it's hard to describe feelings, but it's kind of the most feelings final round I've watched in golf in a long time, where you can feel what's going on, not only with Rory, but with Justin Rose and with Bryson DeChambeau, and just some wild times, that's for sure.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of Jean Van de Velde at the 99 Open at times, where you're just going, I can't believe, what is happening right now, Norman in 96, but to his credit, he kept coming back into an 11-year major drought. This was his 11th attempt at, the Grand Slam, became only the 6th person to do so, the first ever to do it after failing the first 4 times, first Masters champ to have 4 double bogeys. He had 2 doubles, in his opening round. Obviously, he was 4 under and then kind of erased all that over the last 4, and then, the 2 doubles on Sunday, with 2 66s in between. And he's the first player since Gene Sarazen 90 years ago to complete their career Grand Slam at Augusta. Sarazen, the first player to ever accomplish this feat. And I do wonder, considering the depth of the world of golf right now, how, few players have accomplished this just in general. I mean, basically, in, my and your lifetime, you've had 2 people, and unfortunately, we're getting up there in age. It is fair to ask will we see another player complete the Grand Slam? Because we have right now, Phil needs the U.S. Open. I think that's pretty unlikely at his age. Spieth needs the PGA, which I guess is possible, but he seems like a mess. And then outside of Koepka, who needs, the Masters and the Open, Morikawa, the Masters and the U.S. Open, even probably the other, great players in the game, Bryson and Scheffler, they need 3 of the 4. Xander still needs a Masters and Open. It's fair to at least say how long will it be before we see, the next Grand Slam champion in golf, but it is possible ever, because it seems to be harder for players to win majors in general because the depth of the field are so much better. And I do really question, can somebody, come back and win all 4 majors? That's such a hard thing. And we saw with what Rory went through and all the emotion, it's a lot, right? Like, the pressure got to one of the best players in the world numerous times on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the hardest part of it. The closer you get to it, the harder it becomes to get. And, each and every year we're going to have a new crop of players coming onto the tour and potentially threatening those opportunities. I think it'll be done. I just think it's going to take a really long time. And, I agree with you, although Phil surprised us with the PGA Championship many years ago. I don't think he's playing enough really competitive golf to win the golf tournament that he's finished second in Lord knows how many times. And then, you got these other guys with 2. They got to get 1 more first before they even have the opportunity for it. So I think it's going to be, on the low end, maybe 10, 12 years. On the high end, 15, 20-plus years. And if it even ever happens again, you think there's a good chance it could happen again? Or you think this will be something that stays a group of 6 for a long time?
Yeah, and, now that Rory has, the 5 majors, the career Grand Slam, there's only 14 players, history of game, with more major titles. With this next major, he joins Trevino, Faldo, and Mickelson. He's 2 away from being 7th all-time, and then would only trail Watson with 8, Gary Player, and Ben Hogan with 9, Walter Hagen with 11, obviously Tiger with 15, and Jack with 18. And, he has a chance to really put himself as one of the 5 or 6 best players in the world we talked about last night. I think if he gets to 8, he has a real case for one of the 5 best players ever, with all the other things he's accomplished in the game. And again, just how much harder it is to win majors, et cetera. But I've said it for a while. So if I can get to 10, 11 in the modern era, I think that's more impressive than Tiger's 15, just like I think Tiger's 15 is more impressive than Jack's 18, because the fields were so much deeper and stronger. There was players from all over the world, by the time Tiger started winning majors. And I think that there's more talented golfers right now than there's ever been.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of been multiple different eras. And, going back to how hard it is, we know how unbelievably good Arnold Palmer was at golf, and he has never won the career Grand Slam. But, yeah, each kind of decade, each new era of golf seems to get tougher and tougher. And I like that point, not to discredit what Jack did. Obviously, winning 18 majors is probably a record that'll never be broken. But, Tiger did it in kind of the era where he was transcending the game of golf, kind of changing it to what it is today. Obviously, the competition was really steep for Tiger, and then now with what Rory's doing in the modern era of golf, I like how you dubbed that. Technology, fitness, nutrition, mental coaches. It's just so different now than it ever used to be, and so many guys are so good at golf. And year in and year out, we've got a new group of golfers that are even better than the last. So yeah, you don't know when the next. I don't think we'll ever see a Tiger Woods again, but you don't know when the next Scotty Scheffler will come alive. And, he obviously needs to win. He needs to win 2 more for the career Grand Slam?
I'm sorry, you said Scheffler?
Yeah.
He's got the 2 Augusta, so like I said,
that's
he's
right.
3.
He needs 3, yeah.
So,
absolutely.
And Ricky Fowler said this a few years ago, that really with the modern technology, it's a disadvantage to the Tiger Woods, the Jack Nicklaus's and stuff of the world. Because there used to be such a separation from striking a golf ball solid, right? To where now these guys, their misses are going as far as some people were driving it with the technology, like in the 60s, 70s, 80s. So I do real quick want to touch on Justin Rose. This is his second sudden death playoff loss at Augusta, his third runner-up finish at the Masters. He now has 5 runner-ups in the majors, 2 at the Open Championship, which you would probably assume would be, the major he wants more than anything. But there's a guy now that has, he has 12 top 5s in the majors, 22 top 10s. Obviously, the U.S. Open win in 2013. To me, though, maybe Rose is going to get another major because 8 of his top 10s in majors have came since 2019, and 4 of those came in just his last 8 major starts. So I think he's kind of figured it out. He continues to pop up in these things, and he proved on Sunday, even if Saturday he obviously faltered, that, he is capable of, handling the pressure on a Sunday, and getting back into the tournament. Because I really think he thought he had a chance to win once Rory, obviously made the double in 13. And he did pretty much, with the exception of bogey on 17, everything he could to win that tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. And Justin's just one of those guys that you can, like you said, you can never really count out when he's close. And especially, given his track record in Ryder Cups, that's not a guy that you want to go up against head-to-head. And, fortunately for Rory, he hit a fantastic tee shot there in the playoff. He hit a fantastic tee shot in the regulation, too, but just fanned that wedge, and it was just kind of shocking.
Do you think he had any deja vu feelings, Ryan, as he got over that approach shot in the playoff? He's like, man, it feels like I just did this.
I couldn't imagine you not having that deja vu, but... we talked a little bit about it last night. Old Harry Diamond giving him that little reset as they were driving to the number 18 tee. And I think if you have the ability to really put things in perspective, Harry Diamond certainly was a big factor there for Rory, and he's been best buds with him since he was age 7. So obviously a lot of chemistry there, and Harry Diamond has obviously made some good cash with being on the bag for Rory McIlroy for as long as he has.
Yeah, mindset is such a big thing in this game. The other, 2 people I want to touch on real quickly is Scheffler, who, I feel like with the C game still, was only 3 shots from basically the playoffs. Says a lot to just his ability, especially to play that golf course. But Bryson's the guy that, to me, I was really shocked he laid an egg. It was pretty shocking. I mean, he had the lead for just a brief second after birdie in the second, followed up with bogeys on 3 and 4, no other birdies on the front, and next thing you know, he was kind of out of the tournament. And I do think it's fair to say, do these live guys, the difference in 3 and 4 rounds and shotgunning and doing, traditional starts, it's a big difference in these biggest moments. And I think that obviously the more he gets into us, the better. He did, the huge comeback and, held the lead last year, but it's still, I think, not the best way for the formula for them to win majors moving forward.
Yeah, no, I actually kind of come around on that. I agree, too. The shotgun start's just so different than a first and 10th tee start. I'm not as much the 3 rounds as I am the shotgun. And obviously the competition is, they're playing for a lot of money over there too. So, if that kind of gets that pressure going for you, I could see it matching it a little bit. But yeah, no, the playing on the tour, despite a lot of these events being a lot smaller than full field events, but so is the LIV Tour, I think is certainly giving these guys an advantage when it comes to the major championships. But we'll see how the rest of the year goes. We're only 29 days from the PGA Championship, so we're in that 4-month stretch where it goes major, 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 and don't forget we're coming off the Players Championship as well. Keith, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be right back. Keith Fleming on the line. You can check him out at fantasysixpack.net or go over there to Twitter/X, KEITHFLEMMING. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents the Race to Talladega.
And now on the line with us, our second qualifier, Paul Ritchie, with the time of what, James?
5 seconds.
5 seconds? Paul, what's going on?
Not a whole lot. How you doing this afternoon?
Doing well, man. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited you are about the possibility of going to Talladega?
Always a 10. Always a 10.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Wednesday afternoon. The rest of the day, sunshine and 75 with a light breeze coming out of the west at 6 miles per hour. For tonight, clear skies with a calm wind and a low near 60. Tomorrow, a wind out of the south-southeast 5 to 10 miles per hour, sunny and a high around 77. For Friday, sunshine and a high of 78. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
CBC Construction is looking for a few good men. At CBC Construction, our greatest strength lies within our talented team. Join us and be a part of a dynamic company that values its people. We offer a tremendous opportunity to create a future for your family and the Florida Panhandle. CBC Construction is now hiring. Call us at 850-740-3815 or visit cbcconstruction.com to learn more. CBC Construction. Be part of a winning team.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards in Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
Now back to the Inside Drive, live and local from the Gulf Plus studios. This is not for the casual fan. This is for the warriors. This is for the legends.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
It's the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Don't forget, coming up in the start of the next segment, we'll announce our contestant for today's Race to Talladega. If you listen to the Coach James Hale Show this morning and you text in the code word and your racing name, I will announce it when we get back after the break after this segment. How quickly you give us a call back at 850-215-6290 is your qualifying time. The top two qualifying times get a pair of tickets to the Jack Links 500 on Sunday, April 27th, and that also comes with tickets to the ARCA Menard Series General Tire 200 and the NASCAR Xfinity Series Ag Pro 300, a doubleheader on the Saturday before. So go ahead and make a weekend of it up there in Talladega. The fastest overall time will also get 2 incredible tickets to the Talladega Garage Experience. We appreciate all the contestants thus far, as even if you get cool station stash as well from Pepsi, Tommy's Express, and ESPN Northwest Florida. This contest runs between now and the end of this week, April 18th. So just a few more opportunities to enter the contest. We hope you do. If you text us in the morning, make sure you're listening at 1240 and 540 to see if your name is called. Appreciate PCB Hobby, Panama City Toyota, Buffalo Rock, Hampton Inn on Thomas Drive, and Home 2 Suites for sponsoring the Race to Talladega Spring Edition. Be on the lookout for the Fall Edition if you don't win this particular one. All right, Keith, back to you.
Yeah, the only other person I wanted to mention from the Masters, because I know that, obviously the 18th undid a lot of what he had done on Sunday and through the tournament, but, this Ludwig Oberg kid, really good. And I think if you just look, all the things he's already accomplished, how, much he won at the collegiate career, he's won on the PGA, and the DP World Tour, it's, sooner rather than later, this kid is going to get his first major, and I'm just such a huge fan of his game.
Yeah. This year, you think?
It's so tough because he's so young. Yeah. I mean, you think about the amount of starts he's had. You look at somebody like Xander that it was kind of once he made 30 starts in the majors, right? He wins 2 very quickly. I think you have to be in this position because we've seen him have a real chance to win the Masters the last 2 years, and unfortunately has been undone, by a few mistakes in the final round. But I wouldn't doubt it. It's just from a gambling standpoint and a DFS standpoint, it was what we were, discussing last night. I just think he's always a little bit overvalued, and he should be getting better odds of somebody who has one career PGA Tour win.
Yeah.
But because of the talent, you're paying that tax, and so you have to be pretty certain. It's a really good venue for him, which obviously Augusta will be moving forward, seeing what he's done in his 2 starts there. But in major championships, and I haven't really dove into how his game fits the rest of the major venues this year.
Yeah, I mean, one of the hardest things is being a Masters debutante, and it's such a difficult tournament to do well in, and the fact that he was in the top 5 his first year, obviously he made that mistake on 11 hitting into the water, but he's not the first and won't be the last to make that mistake. And then, of course, the big mistake that you were just referring to on 18 on Sunday cost him a little over $500,000. So you kind of got to go through that. He's been close, but you got to kind of go through that grind. And, the Masters is not one of those tournaments that you just come out and, right out the gate in your early career and play really well at. And he's obviously played really well, except for one bad swing each day. And, that's kind of what Augusta can do. You're always one bad swing away from making a big number, and minimizing that is how you go on to win the tournament. But, yeah, Ludwig Aubert is a name to – and he's so fun to watch. He's so stoic. You can feel his golf swing is just so on point. Obviously Rory's is fantastic too, maybe one of the best golf swings in the modern era that we've seen, but Ludwig is not far behind. Obviously, we talked about this last night too, but Masters, such a high, so much leading up to it, and just to follow a fantastic tournament, kind of shocking. Obviously, it's always been the RBC Heritage right after the Masters, not too far away, about 3 hours away, maybe 2.5, depending on traffic when you get there to Hilton Head. But just kind of crazy that the PGA Tour is following up the Masters with another signature event.
Yeah, I think you said it last night, that it's just a situation where they don't want to show, how much is, missing or lacking in star power. With the LIV guys being gone, this is the easiest way to get most of the great players in the world. Most of them are there, really with the exception of Rory, and that was something that, he decided before. But this is the 3rd straight year it's been a signature event, so I was wrong. It kind of was a signature event from the beginning. I thought it was made one last year, but when Fitzpatrick won it in 2023, it was also a signature event.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, and obviously the Heritage has been played after the Masters for a very, very long time, and just, like I said, a short commute there. And, of course, this is, obviously the one in Arizona, TPC Scottsdale, Waste Management Open. I don't even think they call it the Waste Management Phoenix Open anymore. It is one of the bigger party atmospheres on tour, but the RBC Heritage is probably pretty darn close to that same kind of atmosphere. It's a big social event, all those condos on 18, just a big party down there in Hilton Head for a lot of people in Georgia, South Carolina that make the trek over there. So fun event nonetheless on a very difficult golf course.
Absolutely. Real quickly before we get into Harbortown and the RBC Heritage, we did have a good bit of winners from last week. If you listen to the 2 Off the Tee show, you know that Ryan Mulvey picked Rory McIlroy to win the event, so hopefully you would have bet on that.
Real risky there. Real risky.
Hey, man, when you're right, you're right. Risky or not, I didn't like Rory to win last week. And the ultimate villain continues to win me money at Augusta. I had Patrick to top 5 at 11-1, top 10 at plus 440. Both of those hit, as well as Corey Connors to finish in the top 10 at plus 360. Again, you can find all my DFS and betting plays on Fantasy Six Pack. Just go to the cheat sheets that are usually linked in my preview article, and it gives you all my plays. So we returned to Harbortown, yet another Pete Dye golf course, par 71, 7,100 yards. We both played this course, Ryan. It's so difficult. Even on TV, I don't think it does the best job of showing how tight all the windows are and how many trees. Even, like you said last night, a ball in the middle of the fairway cannot leave you a very good angle to the hole.
That's when the golf course is difficult. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But, yeah. So,
I mean, it's just filled with dog legs, right? And some of the biggest trees you'll ever see. It's going to impact tee shots and approaches. Less than driver course, especially for these guys. The 276 yards per drive, the second lowest average driving distance for a venue on tour, and we know with how far these guys hit it, that does not mean that they're hitting driver off the tee. The greens are the second speed on tour, so you see a lot less three putts here. And we talked about this as well last night. This thing can really turn into a putting contest. They only hit the green in regulation about 60% of the time. That's a good 5% lower than the tour average. And then again, with the tight dogleg fairways, small greens, it's the 8th toughest venues for players to gain strokes on approach. This also means 46% of the approaches come from 150 or further, so you want to really look at guys that are good mid to long iron players. That's the 5th highest rate on tour for approaches that distance or further. Only 3 par 5s. All 3 are true 3-shot holes. Only 11% of second shots into par 5s hit the green. Exactly half of the percentage of the tour average of second shots into the par 5 that land on that green. So normally you're talking about 22% of, basically second shots hitting the green. Here it's 11. And then you obviously have the 4 par 3s that are very difficult, all 195 yards or further. So it really emphasizes scrambling and strokes gained around the greens. When you have a 3-shot par 5, you need to get that up and down some of these shorter holes. Again, the scrambling and sand save numbers are, easier than the tour average, due really just to increased opportunities from players missing greens. And the ability for a player to scramble and make par is going to be imperative to find success this week. So you're wanting to look at, your grinders, the guys that avoid bogeys, hit the ball straight, hit a lot of greens in reg. And these firm greens with tricky pin placements will test even the best players in the world short games.
Yeah, no doubt. Pete Dye masterpiece over there in Hilton Head. I know you've played it a few times. I had an opportunity to play it once when I used to work in South Carolina, and just not a golf course that has a lot of room for mistakes. And, I would say from that aspect, Augusta doesn't have a lot of room for mistakes either, but it's so different than Harbor Town. It's tight. There's nowhere to bail out on most holes. I just remember if you made a bad swing off the tee and you hit it a little crooked, you were lucky to find it in general. There's not a lot of golf courses on the PGA Tour where if you hit a little squirrely, being able to find it is the issue you got to go to, especially with all the spotters they have out there. But yeah, that closing stretch too, 15, 16, 17, and 18 is a good test, and you've seen a lot of guys win it and lose it on that stretch, and likely will come down to that this weekend as well.
Yeah, and going from Augusta, which, has one of the hilliest courses, especially in the States, you play to this one, which is one of the flattest. It is.
There's no undulation except on the greens. That's the low country of South Carolina to its finest. It is flat. You're basically at sea level, so you're dealing with, no altitude helping you out with balls. It's humid. It's just, it's only 7,200 yards, but that is a par 71, so you're taking a par 5 off there. But it plays long. Anytime it's like here at Bay Point, it always plays longer versus if you go up there to Atlanta, because you guys got some elevation, and believe it or not, elevation makes a difference on how far you're hitting that golf ball. So that is a long 7,200 yards for the players this week.
Yeah, it always trips me out when I go back to St. Simons, even living there for 6 years, when about the first 4 or 5 holes in the first round, everything is coming up short, and I'm going, what is going on? And you remember the ball just doesn't travel quite as far. Also in that, just humidity and so much water in the air. But the key stats this week: strokes gained approach, strokes gained around the green, scrambling, driving accuracy, really big for me, proximity, again from 150 to 200. Bogey avoidance. Because this is a no-cut event, I want guys that make a lot of birdies or better, because, if somebody's not going to, say, finish in that top 5, get the bonus points. Let's get as many bonus points as possible for, say, a low round or birdies, eagles, etc. Par 3 scoring and course history. This event was an opportunity where you saw a lot of kind of longer shot guys win, but since it's became a signature event, Fitzpatrick 28-1 at 17 under in 2023, Scotty last year at 4-1 at 19 under. I don't think you're going to see, and again, it's only a 70 something player field, so it's not like you have these huge odds where you get to 150 to 200 to 1, but I only, went up to guys at 75 to 1 or better for my betting cheat sheet to win this event. But the official DK lineup this week, a trio of guys who missed the cut last week, starting with Russell Henley, 9,700, 25-1 to win, 4-1 to top 5. I like both of those. He was probably, other than Sepp Straka, who I'll get to in a minute, my most owned DFS player last week. He missed the cut, which really hurt, but he bounced back on Friday. They were both on the bad part of the draw. He's currently top 25 in strokes gained tee to green, which is so important here, on approach, which is so important here, around the greens, and on them. You know, again, we want somebody drives it straight. He's 12th in driving accuracy. We want somebody hits it close. He's 6th in proximity. Somebody plays par 3s well, 3rd in par 3 scoring, and he's got success at this venue. He's finished 19th or better in his last 5 starts at the RBC Heritage. So I think that he is definitely somebody that is can to bounce back. Same thing for Sepp Straka at 8,800 on DK. He's 40-1 to win. Another guy that, really hurt my DFS lineups last week, but he's another guy that shot 79 round 1, and if not for a bogey and double on 17 and 18, he fought all the way back and was within the cut line. He is like having one of the best ball striking years in quite some time. He's 6th in strokes gained tee to green, 5th in strokes gained approach. Another guy drives extremely straight, 13th in driving accuracy. He is 3rd right now in green and regulation percentage, 2nd in proximity on approaches. No surprise because that he's not making a lot of bogeys, 11th in bogey avoidance. He's 3rd in par 3 scoring, 1st in par 5 scoring, and he's finished top 5 in this event 2 of the last 3 years. So, that's check for me, and I think people might fade these guys a little bit because of missing the cut last week at the Masters and not playing well. But remember, they weren't grinding it through Sunday. They probably got over here early, got some time off. It's not all bad. Robert McIntyre's next, 8,500. He is 40-1 to win. Another guy that excels at this tight course, top 25 in driving accuracy, strokes gained approach, bogey avoidance. He's 5th in strokes gained tee to green, which is a real indicator at this venue. 7th in green and regulation percentage. The big one for me, he's 2nd in proximity from 150 to 175 yards. Basically 33% of approaches are going to come from that distance, so he should be able to take advantage of that. And he was playing really well for the miscut at Augusta last week. 3 straight top 11 finishes on tour. I think one of the best values this week on DraftKings is Daniel Berger, 8,300. He's finished 21st or better his last 3 starts at Harbour Town. Finished 30th or better in his last 7 PGA starts. You have a venue he plays well. A player coming in really good form. 10th in driving accuracy, somebody who is 17th in strokes gained tee to green. Again, strokes gained around the green is so big. He's 21st on tour in that. And he's top 30 in scrambling, bogey avoidance, and then 11th currently in par 4 scoring. So I think he is a real value at 8,300. Bud Colley's next, 7,500. Love him, 75-1 to win, plus 450 to top 10. He has not played in this event since 2020, but has some success with 2 top 25s in 4 starts. He had finished 6 or better in 3 straight events before. He was not in the Masters Code last week. One of those was a signature event at the Players. And another guy's just having an outstanding ball striking year. He's top 15 in strokes gained tee to green and approach. He's 24th in strokes gained putting. This is a guy that is yet to win a PGA Tour event, but I just think with his recent form, his game is tailored to this venue. It would not shock me if he gets his first career win this week, and I would love to see that. And then rounding out the lineup, Lucas Glover, 6,900, 75-1, 11-1 to top 5, plus 450 to top 10. Another guy that missed the cut last week, who I was recommending. So obviously, as you can see, I had a lot of guys whiff last week, but he drives it extremely straight. 5th in driving accuracy, throws darts, 4th in proximity. He's 2nd in par 3 scoring. He excels at less than.
Ooh, you'll have to go to fantasy6pack.net to find out.
Yeah, there you go. That's a tease. He's back on. Do you want him?
Yeah, no, you got to let him finish. Keith, I thought you were just teasing our listeners there with not finishing that final DraftKings.
Finish up so you don't get blue vocal cords.
Is he there?
Collier.
Oh, there he is.
You hear me?
Yes.
Was it Collier or Glover? Where was that?
Your last play, I believe, Lucas. Or you said
okay, Lucas Glover.
Yeah, Lucas Glover. Yep.
So 6,900. He's 75 to 1, 11 to 1 to top 5, plus 450 to top 10. Really, drives it straight. 5th in driving accuracy, 4th in proximity. He's 2nd in park rescoring, excels on less than driver courses. And you talked about last night, 33rd or better in 7 of his last 10 starts at this venue. And he was another guy that he missed the cut last week, but before that, consecutive top 10 finishes. Glover spoke at the TGL final, how confident he was in his game, and he didn't mince words with his bad round. On Thursday at the Masters, came back. He played well in round 2, but wasn't well enough to erase the 79 he shot on Thursday.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of your biggest points in that official alignment part, lineup part, not alignment, was the fact that don't let what they did at the Masters influence your picks at Harbortown. 2 completely different places, and a lot of times you see guys bounce back after a tough Masters tournament at Harbortown. A lot of these guys, I'm sure there's a stat somewhere that shows that some of these recent winners maybe didn't have a great tournament at the Masters, maybe didn't even have an opportunity to play at the Masters, but don't let that recent success or the recent not success bias influence your picks when it comes to your lineups, your betting cards, your top
unsuccessful bias.
Unsuccessful bias.
That's right.
I don't know. That's probably not a real phrase, but it is today.
On the wrong side of the draw last week, which we saw. It was like I think 70% of the players that made the cut at Augusta, ended up going afternoon, morning. And these guys all went morning, afternoon. So, a lot of times it can be as simple in a major making a cut of do you get the good draw or not.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And no cut in this event coming up. Keith, just remind everybody really fast where they can find your information, and that cheat sheet that you're now providing is absolutely spectacular. Take advantage of it now while you can.
Yeah, just at fantasy6pack.net. You can find all my stuff. Go under DFS betting. And then you can find me on Twitter / at Keith Fleming. And we appreciate you guys. Check out 2 Off the Tee on Fantasy Six Pack's YouTube channel. Me and Ryan do a lot of this every Tuesday night, 9 p.m.
But we're allowed to say potty words on the podcast.
That's right. It is a nice little thing.
You don't have to watch yourself as much on the podcast, which is fun. But Keith, we appreciate you as always. Continued good luck and success with all your DFS and betting action.
Thanks, buddy. We'll talk soon. Take care, David. See you around.
Later, bub.
That was Keith Fleming. Final segment of the Inside Drive coming up next. Ooh, excuse me. Race to Talladega is coming up
Florida
next.
presents the Race to Talladega. Join Coach Hale mornings at 7:15 and 8:15 to enter. Then at 12:40 and 5:40, listen for your name to be called. If we announce your name, race to the phones. How long it takes you to call 850-215-6290 is your qualifying time. The 2 fastest qualifying times win a pair of tickets to the Jack Links 500 from PCB Hobby, Pepsi, Panama City Toyota, and your racing station. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Golf is a game that should be fun, but to have the most fun, you need to play your best. That's where the experts at Golf Plus come in. Their friendly staff will guide you through the buying process, answer all your questions, and can help with any repairs you need along the way. Golf Plus is your custom fitting, club repair, and golf retail shop. Golf Plus staff is non-commissioned and will work with you to find the best product for your game, just like they've been doing since 1988. Golf Plus in Dothan and Panama City Beach. Fitting, repair, retail. That's Golf Plus.
Hi folks, it's Tracy from Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Did you know that we have a master jeweler right here in the store? That's right, she has over 20 years experience in the art of repairing jewelry. Most repairs are done within a week, so don't send your jewelry off for 6 weeks. Bring it to us at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. We size rings and solder chains. We can reset your diamond into a new setting and even custom design. You'll get your jewelry back quickly and looking as good as new. Tracy's Fine Jewelry, Bay County's trusted jeweler for over 50 years.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Broadcasting from the Golf Plus studios, it's the Inside Drive. We're betting the limit and covering the spread. The Inside Drive with Ryan and Jay.
Thank you. Nice to be in Vegas.
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm still waiting for Keith to say KEITHFLEMMING. It just flows so nicely. And whenever I ask him what his handle is on Twitter, he just says, follow me on Twitter/X. KEITHFLEMMING. But it sounds so much cooler when you say double M.
double M.
Double M-I-N-G.
Yeah, you gotta roll into that at one time, Keith. If you don't do it in the next 3 episodes, we're gonna put a cease and desist on Ryan being your co-host.
Ooh, maybe.
Yeah, you have no say in this, right?
Man, that is tough. Little Atlanta Braves update. Obviously, they dropped one yesterday. Unfortunately,
should be playing right now.
Yeah, they are playing right now. Top of the third, and the reason why it's a
daggum, I thought it started at 12:40.
Well, maybe 12:40 in the Eastern time zone, maybe 11:40 here in the Central time zone. But what's exciting about today's game, he's already got 2 innings pitched. He's only given up 2 hits, but he's had 3 strikeouts. Spencer Strider, number 99, the Wild Thing, is back on the mound for the Atlanta Braves. Kind of a little glimmer of excitement and hope in what's been a tough season thus far for the Atlanta Braves. But yes, tied 0-0 right now. The Braves have not had a hit yet, but they are currently batting against the Toronto Blue Jays up there right now. Top of the third, Braves 5-12, Blue Jays 10-8. Braves trying to get a win behind their ace, Spencer Strider. Great to see him back on the mound. Hopefully he can have a great bounce-back season this year and help get the Braves kind of moving in the right directions. But 3 games will be aired Friday, Saturday, and Sunday right here on ESPN Northwest Florida, as we are your home for the Atlanta Braves here on the Gulf Coast. Friday, it starts a series against the Minnesota Twins, all at home. Coverage starts at 6 p.m., first pitch at 6:15. On Saturday, coverage starts at 5 p.m., first pitch again, 6:15. And then Sunday, as you'll often see, a little matinee game at coverage starts at 11:20 a.m., first pitch, 12:35 p.m. Again, that's against the Minnesota Twins. We appreciate Billberg Kia, PCB Hobby, Panama City Toyota, Hewitt Tire and Auto, and Hometown Towing, Best Way Portable Buildings, Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, Mid-South Lumber, and Brock Pest Control for being our Braves sponsors and allows us the ability to bring you most coming close to all of those 162 games. So we appreciate our sponsors that make the Atlanta Braves your home here in the Florida Panhandle, ESPN Northwest Florida. Exciting to have Strider back on the round. Did you get him in your lineup before the game started?
No, because I should have done that yesterday. I just found out he was going to be getting the start today, so it is what it is. Honestly, I'd kind of rather just let him go, because I don't think they'll be pitching him too deep, and it's a categories league, so it's not. This isn't in the ESPN.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Oh, daggum! No, I didn't. Yeah, I forgot I have him in both leagues. So,
nice.
So yeah,
nice.
He can ride the bench for one more week.
My auto drafted team is doing not auto drafted, but I didn't. I don't know what happened. I think something popped up, and I wasn't able to do the draft. But apparently, when you just let it do it for you, it gets you a pretty good team. Because I'm off to a decent start anyway. But I've learned how it works a lot more this time in the first go around, and hopefully Dave Neat doesn't catch as much fire as he did last year, absolutely dominating everybody every time he played them. But yeah, exciting stuff for the Atlanta Braves. Although the season is not gotten off to the start we wanted, at least we're getting him back, and then what? Another 2-3
yeah, I'd say early May.
Month or so.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe 2-3 weeks. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, get old Ronald Acuna Jr. back. That'll be a nice sight for sore eyes for Braves fans. So getting Strider back first is great, and of course Ronald Acuna on the way, and hopefully he picks up right where he left off as the Ronald Acuna Jr. that we know and love him for. So again, we're your home for the Atlanta Braves here in the Florida Panhandle. All right, speaking of baseball here in the Florida Panhandle, not where the Braves play, but where a lot of local teams play. We talked about Arnold winning their game 2 nights ago in the 4A District 2 tournament over Godby 13-3. We now know who they will be playing in the district championship tomorrow at 7 p.m. Wakulla beat Rickards 11-0 yesterday. So Arnold will face Wakulla in the district championship. Hopefully they're already qualified for the playoffs, but obviously when you win your district, that gets you right in there to the playoffs. Arnold has had a great season thus far and looking to make some noise in the playoffs. In the 5A District 2, later on today, you will have Mosley hosting Childs again, 6 p.m. Lincoln and Leon was the other side of the semifinals. Lincoln beat Leon 9-0 yesterday, so they are moved on to the championship. So the winner of Mosley and Childs will face Lincoln on Thursday at 6 p.m. So good luck to Mosley tonight. Get out there and support those Dolphins as they're trying to kind of secure their playoff spot with the district championship. Because I was talking to Coach Davidson, who's he works there at UA, but he helps out on the pitching with Mosley, and he said basically the way they do it with the selection thing is strength of schedule matters. So you don't really know, but if they can win tonight and win tomorrow, they have a good chance, or they will be into the playoffs. So good luck to the Mosley Dolphins on trying to make the playoffs. Over there in the 3A District 2 championship, it's a all Bay County championship game where Bay defeated Gadsden County yesterday 29-1. And then Rutherford, in a lot different type of game, ended up beating North Bay Haven 2-1. So you've got an old school Bay County high school matchup in the 3A District 2 championship, where Bay will be hosting Rutherford tomorrow night at 6 p.m. So get out there and support the Tornadoes and the Rams. A lot of local baseball action going on tomorrow night, as all these championship games are basically at the same time. Moving on over to the South Walton Seahawks, who are currently ranked number 19 in the nation, ranked number 2 in the entire state of Florida. Obviously, they're probably ranked number 1 in their particular classification as well. We know that they absolutely drummed their last opponent in the district tournament, 23-3 overall, but they're going up against a formidable opponent tonight, actually, at 7 p.m. That is the 3A District 1 championship. South Walton beat Pensacola 24-1. West Florida beat Walton yesterday 8-1. So South Walton will be taking on West Florida, who also only has 3 losses thus far. Big game coming up then. We always talk about the pitching rotation for the South Walton baseball team. That consists of Braxton Varnes, he's going to Florida State University. Charlie Wilcox is going to Georgia Tech University. Cameron Tipton Thomas is going to Troy University, and Frank Wells is going to Georgia Southern University. So pretty impressive rotation there for the South Walton Seahawks, and sometimes that's what you need to get it over the hump in that state championship run. So good luck to all the teams. Hopefully we'll have continue to talk about those teams throughout the regional and state tournaments, and of course softball districts will be getting underway here pretty shortly. Also want to congratulate all the participants in the Bay County. We had a Bay County track meet yesterday afternoon, and it was a lot of fun. I think UA got 3rd in boys and girls out of 5. I want to say Bay Haven won girls, and I do not remember who won the boys side of things. But another great event out there at Tommy Oliver Stadium, and obviously it all culminates with the county championship here in a few weeks. So it's one of those things. It doesn't matter what you do in the regular meets. It all comes down to the county championship, where all the teams are there competing against one another. All right, David Hayes, we got to do the same thing we did last night. All right, so tonight we got 2 more play-in games. We've got the 9th place versus 10th place team in both conferences. Winner of that game will take on the loser of yesterday's game, with the winner of that game getting that number 8 seed. So whoever loses these games, they are completely out. No more chances for them. Those 2 games on the Eastern Conference side of things, the Heat are traveling to Chicago to take on the Bulls. Bulls being the number 9 seed, Heat being the number 10 seed. Right now, Chicago is favored by 2.5 points. David, who do you like in this particular matchup to stay alive for that 8 seed playoff spot?
It's wild that the Bulls are kind of in this position right here. I guess the same for the Heat.
Both teams under 500.
Bulls kind of blew it up at the trade deadline and got better. Heat lost Jimmy Butler, and I don't know if they got better. They kind of just maintained their consistency.
Yeah.
I'll just go with the favorite. Both the favorites won last night. I'll go with the favorite tonight. 219.5. I'm gonna I know I took both the unders yesterday, but I'm going to keep rolling with it. Regardless of what happened yesterday, I'm going to take the under.
Well, you went 1 for 1 in the over-unders yesterday as the first game hit the under, second game hit the over. But do you 2.5 points, you'd lay that with Chicago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I might even do it, man, because the last time. So when James fills in for you, he does a $2 bets of the day. Yeah. So we'll go through. He'll do like 2 bets where we put $2 on. I don't even know if they actually do it, but I haven't. And so on Friday, I did Ozzie Albies to have a hit, a home run, and an RBI, which obviously if he gets a home run, he accomplishes all 3 of those. Yeah. Then I had 2 other fellas with a home run and turned the $2 into like 20-something.
Awesome. The bonus bet of the day for Hard Rock does tie to this game. It's Miami at Chicago. It's 115 or more or 104 or fewer for that bonus bet, with $1.04 million going to be awarded for all the people that get that correctly. I like that. And then what do you got in the second one? The Mavs and the Kings. Mavericks are getting 5.5 points total, 213.5. So that's a low number for this second game. The Mavs and the Kings. Obviously, I think the Kings are probably the better team. I would personally probably lay the points with the Kings and take the Kings minus 5.5. That over/under though is we're out of time. Just like that. Peace out, everybody.
Coach was like, he comes in, he was like, I thought y'all would be done by now.
I wish we were. What's up, Coach?
We'll see y'all tomorrow at 11 o'clock afternoon. Underdogs coming up at 4. You've been listening to ESPN Northwest Florida.
Weather in the Panhandle never stops. Turn to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast.
Up to the minute weather reports all day long.
A chance of thunderstorms and moderate rain.
In-depth storm coverage.
Winter Storm Enzo.
And breaking weather as it happens.
Hurricane Helene.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
We do have a tropical storm warning.
Rely on it.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Wednesday afternoon. The rest of the day, sunshine and 75 with a light breeze coming out of the west at 6 miles per hour. For tonight, clear skies with a calm wind and a low near 60. Tomorrow, a wind out of the south-southeast 5 to 10 miles per hour, sunny and a high around 77. For Friday, sunshine and a high of 78. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Golf is a game that should be fun, but to have the most fun, you need to play your best. That's where the experts at Golf Plus come in. Their friendly staff will guide you through the buying process, answer all your questions, and can help with any repairs you need along the way. Golf Plus is your custom fitting, club repair, and golf retail shop. Golf Plus staff is non-commissioned and will work with you to find the best product for your game, just like they've been doing since 1988. Golf Plus in Dothan and Panama City Beach. Fitting, repair, retail. That's Golf Plus.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective. A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.